first and foremost an industry award. And if you think about them in the bigger picture, they're not particularly unique. They came about in 1927 as a result of Hollywood making a platform in order to promote American cinema. And when you look at what's happening internationally at the same time, you see that Mussolini created the Venice Film Festival in 1932, and it's no surprise that although it was open to international films, that Italian directors and filmmakers were the ones to win. So national cinema is a really big concern there. Another thing is that there is, of course, an ideal. You want to create a certain buzz or an aura around the film industry with the premise that you are going to be awarding superior work. But what happens is a lot of that work is driven by money and economics. So one of the problems with the Oscars is that you have this ideal that the absolute best cinematographers or the best actresses are the ones that are going to win an award, when in fact it takes a ton of economic and financial means in order to get a film even into the nomination process. And so at the one part, we want to promote American cinema, but whether it's actually just kind of the industry closing in on the biggest money makers is a little bit of a problem. So there's a lot of controversy around the Oscars. There still is today, but that's a little bit about the history and the driving motives. Well, as I stated a little bit before, the Oscars are really about the economics of the film industry. And film, unlike literature, ends up being a product created by multiple individuals coming together. So you might think of a film and realize that, or assume that it's the product of one individual director as an auteur. That's not necessarily the case. So on the one hand, the Oscars really help demystify, to a certain extent, the creative process that goes behind all of the aspects of what it is you see in a moving picture. Now, one thing that is problematic is the controversies that arise around that. So for example, in my film course this semester, we've been talking about the most recent controversy. The Oscars always have controversies behind them, which is that there's 4 awards that are really about the creative process that aren't going to be televised live, as with Best Actor or Best Actress or Best Motion Picture. And these are cinematography, the heart of film, editing, makeup and hairstyling, best live action shorts. And in moments like these and through controversies with the Oscars, you can start to see the problematic nature of the Oscars themselves. What is it actually promoting, for which purposes, and how are others receiving that? Another issue is obviously the concept of promoting American film. As I was talking about a little bit before too, obviously film festivals and the Oscars in particular are about promoting a certain national cinema. Take Roma, for instance, that is being nominated this year for a bunch of different categories. It's by a Mexican director about something that happens in Mexico City. And the question is, how is it then actually American? It has to do with the money that goes in to creating that film, making it transnational. So we're also at this interesting time where the Oscars starting to contend with the realities of transnational filmmaking processes where money, actors, and other means are coming from different nations, and what does that mean for film culture? My favorite Oscar nomination this year, it's gonna sound a little bit like a cop-out, is Bohemian Rhapsody. I haven't seen all of the nominated films, obviously, there's only 24 hours in a day, but what I particularly enjoy about that film is that we're in such a difficult political climate right now. Obviously, it's also the dead of winter, and Bohemian Rhapsody captures your dreams can be manifested. This ideal that if you work hard enough, no matter the setbacks, you can achieve what it is you set out to do. And in addition to just a really heartwarming story that leaves you smiling most of the time, it also has beautiful cinematography and editing. There's a couple sequences that I really want to showcase to my class since we're talking about cinematography and editing. So if you haven't seen it, I would recommend going and seeing it and thinking very much about that opening sequence and what's going on there in terms of shots and points of view.